Welcome to This Week in Hastings Headline History, where we take a look back at what was making news in Hastings, Florida over a century ago. These are stories directly out of the pages of the Hastings Herald, which was published weekly in the early 1900s. So sit back and enjoy as I share with you a few of the stories from the first week of November 1919. Big sawmill in operation. The sawmill that has been so long talked of and has been in the stage of building has been completed at the Guilford and Keyes Lumber Company and is now in operation. The mill is of the large type, being able to turn out about 25,000 feet a day with all force. But at the present scarcity of labor, the plant is turning out about 15,000 feet a day. The track that leads off in the woods and connects with the Florida East Coast Railroad has been completely overhauled and at present is in good condition. The finished product of the mill will be mostly pine of high grade and will be shipped out to other parts of the country. First glass made in Florida was blown in Tampa. What is said to have been the first glass ever made from Florida sand was blown Monday afternoon at a plant of Gulf Iron Works by an A.P. McKee, plant superintendent of the recently organized Florida Glass Company. The sand used was silicate from the Big Bend area. The glass sand was reduced to a molten mass in a furnace used for melting brass. Mr. McKee blew a number of objects with this material and announced the result highly satisfactory, stating that while the crude apparatus he was using, it was impossible to treat the material so as to remove foreign substances, yet the glass was so clear that it was very evident that the silicate is usually free of such foreign matter. The company is preparing to erect its factory and bring the raw material to fit. Bottles, lamp chimneys, and other glass of common use will be the staple lines to be manufactured out of Florida sand, and the organizers of the company anticipate securing orders for all the glass that can be turned out. Commission splits up the Centennial. By a vote of 3-2, the Florida Purchase Centennial Commission at its meeting yesterday favored the four-fare proposition over the International Exposition. Senators W.A. McWilliams and Jones opposed the division of the exposition, and Senator McWilliams stood alone as the champion of Jacksonville. Senator McWilliams expressed disappointment over the action of the majority of the commission and said the majority were of the opinion that an international exposition was too big for any single city in the state. Instead, the Florida Centennial Purchase Exposition was divided between Jacksonville, Pensacola, Tampa, and Miami. Hastings sewer system being put in good condition. At the meeting of the town council, it was decided to have the sewer cleaned out and some new manholes installed. The sewers are in a bad condition, being full of dirt, and in some places the water is not permitted to pass. After the system is cleaned out with the help of the big canal, which was blown for an outlet at the mouth of the sewer in Hastings will be in perfect condition. Sugar famine nears end. It is expected that the sugar famine, which has prevailed for the past 3 weeks, will be broken this week by a supply of modest proportions. The local grocers have exerted every effort to secure sugar, but without success. However, they have assurances of a shipment at an early date. It is probable that sugar will be rationed as the supply will be very light for the present. In fact, it will be necessary to greatly reduce the consumption of sugar throughout the country for at least a year owing to the world shortage. The price will advance unless the wartime control is extended. Hunting licenses ready. Hunting licenses may be procured from Judge Jackson now, but they cannot be used until November 20th when the game season opens. Judge Jackson will furnish the game warden with a list of the hunters who have licenses, and all who are caught hunting without having procured a license will be hauled before court and fined. That Deep Creek Bridge. Some time ago, the Herald mentioned the dilapidated condition of the Deep Creek Bridge, and although some repairs have been made since, the bridge is by no means what it should be. Users of this passageway should proceed with caution when traversing the bridge. Moved into new quarters. The Hastings Telephone Exchange has moved into its new quarters in the Bird Building and will now be able to give its patrons a more efficient service, having installed a new switchboard with electric ringing device. Police and various other telephone equipment are being renewed, and these improvements will doubtless make the exchange an up-to-date organization in every detail. From the editorial section. Too much talk. The politics and publicity growing out of the proposal to place a colony for lepers in an island off the coast of Florida hurt Florida more than a dozen leprosariums ever could. If the vote-hunting politicians would close their mouths And if the newspapers seeking to boost or impress the said politicians would quit writing about the thing, the world and even Florida soon would forget it, and it wouldn't make any difference whether the federal authorities established it or not. The only way a leper colony can hurt the state is by frightening away from Florida people who are so ignorant as to believe that a leper colony is for the purpose of spreading rather than segregating the dreaded disease. From some of the staff that is written and printed in the newspapers of Florida, one would think that the United States was about to let loose an army of lepers with instructions that they rub up against as many clean people as possible in a march from Pensacola to Miami. California for years has had 2 leper colonies, but they have not hurt that, the Union's greatest tourist state, for the reason that the newspapers of California had better sense than to advertise to the world the fact that leprosariums had been located off its coasts. I hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Hastings Headline History. This podcast was brought to you by Presenting the Past, bringing history back to the present through historic presentations and the sale of treasures from days gone by. This episode was produced by me, Michelle Murillo, with the aid of vintage copies of the Hastings Herald. And to wrap up this week in Hastings Headline History, how about a tune from the time, a 1919 hit, Bill Murray and the Alcoholic Blues.
I love my country, indeed I do, but oh, that war has made me blue. I like fighting, that's my name, but fighting is the least about the fighting game. When Mr. Hoover said to cut my dinner down, I never even hesitate, I never frown. I cut my sugar, I cut my coal, but now they dug deep in my soul. I've got the blues, I've got the blues, I've got the alcoholic blues. No more beer, my heart to cheer. Goodbye, whiskey, you used to make me frisky. So long, highball, so long, gin. Oh, tell me when you're coming back again. Blues, I've got the blues, since they amputated my blues. Lordy, Lordy, war is, well, you know, so I don't have to tell. Oh, I've got the alcoholic blues, some blues. Prohibition, that's the name. Yeah, prohibition drives me insane. I'm so thirsty, soon I'll die. I'm simply gonna evaporate, I'm just that dry. I wouldn't mind to live forever in a train if my daily thirst they'd only let me quench. But not with Levo or ginger ale. I want real stuff by the pail. I've got the blues, I've got the blues, I've got the alcoholic blues. No more beer, my heart to cheer. Goodbye, whiskey, you used to make me frisky. So long, highball, so long, gin. Oh, tell me when you're coming back again. Blues, I've got the blues, since they amputated my blues. Lordy, Lordy, war is, well, you know, so I don't have to tell. Hush, little barroom, don't you cry. You'll be a drugstore by and by. Oh, I got the alcohol.